En route from Portland, Maine to Provincetown, Massachusetts, welcome to GCN.
Welcome to the GCN show.
Coming up this week, is 7 watts per kilo the new 6 watts per kilo? Climbing speeds at this year's Tour de France are higher than ever. Why is the bar now so high?
We've also got news of a new bike from Factor, the biggest sunglasses to win a stage in the Tour, an epic 201 cold 10,000 kilometre challenge, and the 50th anniversary Shimano Dura race.
They really are big, those glasses, aren't they?
They're pretty big.
This week in the world of cycling, we learned that despite being only 10 stages old, the men's Tour de France this year is shaping up to be a classic with a knife-edge battle between arch-rivals Tadej Pogačar and Jonas Vingegaard.
We also learned, however, that world champion Annemiek van Vleuten was in a class of her own at the Giro d'Italia Donne, but that Mark Cavendish has sadly crashed out of the Tour de France before he'd managed to clinch that record-breaking 35th stage win.
Yeah. Agonisingly, it was looking like it was on the cards as well. Just the day before, he had been robbed of a win by a skipping chain.
Is it the end? He said it would be, but his team at Stan have said they'd like to race him again in 2024.
Watch this space. We also learned that doctors from 11 local authorities around the UK here will now be able to prescribe cycling on the NHS. Exercise being one of the best forms of preventative medicine.
In spite of the increasing cost of cycling, it could still save the UK's health service an absolute ton of money.
Yeah, so much, in fact, that you might be able to borrow a Colnago C68 off your local GP.
Imagine that.
Imagine that.
Now, there has been much talk about the climbing speeds at this year's Tour de France. Records have tumbled everywhere.
Yeah, now when a pro bike race rolls through town, Strava leaderboards do tend to get a little bit of a reshuffle, which is precisely why, in fact, Daniel Lloyd still has 474 KOMs, basically all from 2009 and his Cervelo test team days.
2009, wasn't that before Strava was invented?
Basically. Yes, it was. Anyway, the famous Tour de France climbs are obviously slightly different because they get used by pro bike races quite frequently. So when Pogačar takes the KOM on the Col de Tourmalet, it is worth taking note. However, you do then also have to note that the top 13 on the men's leaderboard are all from the Tour this year.
Top of the QMs is Eilidh Gardner, who actually took that in a GCN video with Manon.
Yes, she did. And also, Eilidh's actually got the other side as well. Apparently, a couple of days after filming with Manon, she figured she'd get the other side of the Tourmalet.
Fair play.
Fair play.
Yeah.
Now, what is interesting is that Pogačar and Vingegaard also said the all-time best climbing time, so that is pre-Strava, literally all-time best, beating Tony Rominger and Zenon Jaskula, who I'll admit is a rider I had literally never heard of until today.
Yeah,
anyway, that was from 1993, and they took that by 37 seconds.
At this point, I can feel a few battle-scarred and weary cycling veterans saying, well, we all know what they were doing in 1993, but honestly, I can't believe they went faster than that.
As in Pogačar and Vingegaard?
Yeah.
Me too. I honestly think that they would have annihilated that record. Clothing and tyres alone would be worth a bunch of watts at the speeds they were going up there. Plus, they had a rip-roaring tailwind, and it was a full gas effort, wasn't it? Not quite from the beginning, but almost. And typically, you don't get that on the Tourmalet on this side. It's never been used as a summit finish, has it?
Lantern Rouge have been busy estimating the power outputs of Pogačar and Vingegaard from this year's race. And some of the figures are eye-watering, to the extent that we're seeing 7 watts a kilo, as much as between 6 watts a kilo, and for durations that we haven't really seen much before either.
No, that's right. So Vingegaard did 6.9 watts per kilo for 20 minutes on the Col de Marie Blanc. So that was stage 5, where he put a lot of time into Pogačar, didn't he? But then Pogačar did 6.5 watts per kilo for 35 minutes, the final 15 minutes of which was 7 watts per kilo.
That's mind-blowing.
It is mind-blowing,
For
isn't
context, if I was trying to do that, that would be over 630 watts.
No way.
At my weight, yeah. I honestly don't think I could do that I don't think I could do it for 30 seconds these days.
Whoa! That is absolutely incredible, isn't it?
It's mad numbers.
To be fair, I haven't done the calculations with me. I'll need a calculator. Just bear with
us.
511. roughly. That is a lot. Yeah. I don't think I've got that in me for very long these days.
Firstly, we do need to start by qualifying that the data published is estimations. The clever person behind it all is Gabriel Strozzik, and when reading his explanation of how he gets to his numbers, it sounds pretty compelling.
Yeah.
But it's important to note that they are standardised for a 60-kilo rider. So for Pogačar, will be slightly lower.
Yeah, so I hadn't realised that until I read about his explanation. And so, yeah, all of his watts per kilo figures have got a little E in front of, haven't they? And that's because it's a standardisation. Secondly, can we just say a huge chapeau to Jose Jimenez, okay? So on the Puy de Dôme stage where Pogačar did those epic numbers, Jimenez in 1983 rode up the Puy de Dôme in a time that was just 58 seconds slower than Pogačar. That is in 1983.
As you well know, Si, that's 40 years ago.
Yes, so thank you very much, Conor.
It was a time trial, but still, wool jerseys and toe clips.
Yeah. Now, with that to one side, toe clips and wool jerseys, I think Jimenez actually brings up an interesting point, right? His performance was in a time trial, and I have a feeling that one of the biggest differences between riders now and even just a few years ago, 5-6 years ago, is that improved nutrition is getting the riders to key parts of races fresher, basically with greater energy reserves, a little bit like you're lining up at the bottom of a climb for a time trial.
Yeah, it's not just about eating so that you don't blow, it's about eating so that you can do monster anaerobic efforts for 15 minutes at the top of the Col de Tourmalet. As I found out when I went to visit the nutritionist at Bora Hansgrohe, the riders now, they are eating double the amount of carbs per hour, well, from like 5 years ago even.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, when you were in the pro peloton, when did you retire? 5 years ago?
Coming on to 4 years ago now.
4 years ago?
Yeah.
This still wasn't in, was it?
No, it was still the case where you'd almost go out on rides, and if you could get through a long ride by eating less, it was like a good thing.
Yeah.
So that's totally changed.
Totally changed. There was all this talk about ketones in the Tour de France, well, I don't know, what, 3-4 years ago? No, less than that, 2 or 3 years ago. And actually, it turns out it's just sugar, basically, isn't it? Products like Science and Sport Beta Fuel have changed the formula for energy drinks and gels so that effectively your stomach can tolerate double the amount of carbs and crucially absorb it as well.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that the battle for GC as well is really coming down to specific moments in a stage. And Jonas and Pogačar, they're hitting these climbs pretty fresh, relatively. You've also got the likes of Wout van Aert, who's a legend of the sport in his own right, pulling monster turns on the front before Vingegaard even hits the wind.
Yeah. Yeah, Jumbo-Visma can set a pretty infernal tempo, can't they? Because they have a lot of very, very good riders. Like, yeah, that's a big team, isn't it? It is a fascinating tour, though, this one, isn't it? As you said, because we're in the unique scenario of these two incredible talents pushing themselves beyond their limits day in, day out. So who is going to be the one to land the knockout blow?
I'm going for Vingegaard.
Yeah?
Yeah, I think he's going to have the edge on those bigger, longer climbs in the mountains. I don't know, it's a tough one to call. I know Pogačar looks as if he's coming back, but I'm going to go
Wow. I mean, we did say it was a ding-dong battle, didn't we? I thought it was all over for Pogačar, and then turns out it's not. I think he's just going to get better and better in this race, and I think Jumbo-Visma are now running scared.
It's such a tough one.
Yeah.
It really is such a tough one. Could go either way.
I would not want to be on the back foot with Pogačar nipping at my heels.
No.
It'd be unlikely that Pogačar would ever be nipping at my heels. It'd be more likely that he'd be 34 minutes further up the road.
Nipping at your heels from a motorbike.
Yeah. I did notice, actually, that my time at the Col de Tourmalet is 30 minutes slower than Tadej Pogačar's, but I was riding a vintage bike with a wool jersey and a stop for coffee. So I'll take that.
It's not bad, actually.
Yeah, I think I did about 3 watts per kilo on that bike.
That's pretty decent. Stop
Yeah.
for coffee as well.
Yeah, there you go. Anyway, of course, you can watch all this battle unfolding on GCN+. We've got all the action for you live and on demand as well. Also, we've got picture-in-picture now. So this is great. So if you're watching it on your phone, you can then do other stuff, like send text messages and things, whilst watching GCN+, picture-in-picture on your phone.
Oh, nice one. I did actually notice that was happening on my phone.
Yeah.
I do not know what's happening on my phone half the time, but notice that one. It looks cool. Let us know down in the comments though who you're rooting for, who you think is going to come out on top in the Tour de France. Might not be Pogačar or Vingegaard. It could be this. It's not a 2-horse race.
It is a 2-horse race. What?
Si keeps giving me grief saying it's not a 2-horse race, but
Well, you were the one who went on record at World of Cycling last week and went, whoa, 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 the Tour's not a 2-horse race this year. And I was like, well, who is going to challenge Pogačar and Vingegaard?
might be a 2-horse race.
It kind of
But
might
I'm
be
a
now.
romantic. I believe in the underdog.
Well, 2 weeks is a long time in the Tour de France.
It is.
So there we go. It
It's
might
all
be.
to play for. Kind of. Right then, it's that time of the week for hack/bodge.
That's right. I'm not feeling very optimistic about this week's corner. I've just had a little flick. I think there's some bad ones.
In a bodgy mood.
Yeah, okay, we're going to start with this one from MiG70. I feel like I might have included a bit of bias now into people's perception here. But anyway, MiG70, state-of-the-art bike stand. Why spend dollars on a bike stand when you can literally put your ironing board to a real use? Now, admittedly, my ironing board doesn't get used for anything at the moment. But honestly, what is that?
I mean, for starters, my bike wouldn't fit on it because the wheel would still be on the floor.
That is
So,
a good point, yeah.
It'd rule me out.
Yeah, but it's just like, what is that achieving that a wall isn't? Just lean it against a wall.
I guess if you want to do something fiddly and you want to raise it, it might help, but it would drive me mad how it's not fixed. And it would be all wobbling about.
Yeah.
That'd be too much stress for me to do.
And let's face it, no ironing board has ever been considered stable. Not really.
No.
No, they're a bit rubbish.
Going flying.
I'm going to say massive bodge for that one.
Yeah, bodge from me.
Yeah.
Bodge from me.
Admittedly, 52% of you lot said that was a hack.
I'm surprised.
I'm surprised. I don't know what you were thinking, basically.
I'm
Right.
surprised.
No.
Very.
Right, then what's next, Conor?
Right, this is from Just Gelp. Dial snapped on my Boardman shoes in September. Instead of buying new ones, I found some laces on some old shoes and strapped them together.
Hold
Pogačar.
up. In September? We're in July.
Well, I mean, if it's allowed them to carry on riding, they haven't got to buy a new shoe.
Yeah, but like hold up. We've seen this before, broken shoes. Now, firstly, you can get like a replacement dial pretty easily, can't you? Certainly if it's a BOA. But then, if you're gonna do it for like the better part of a year, just make some holes in the shoe. Like make it a lace-up shoe.
You could.
That is terrible.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point.
Oh my goodness me, Just Gelp. That you can do a better job of fixing your shoes.
My favourite hack for breaking shoes is just duct taping myself to them. Just duct taping myself in.
Every ride, you duct
Lock
tape
and
your
load.
shoe.
No, that was always my thing in a race. If my shoes broke, I was like, I was going to duct tape them up.
To be fair, I remember doing a stage race in France and some poor guy turned up to the start without his cycling shoes and his team mechanic duct taped his
his
trainers to his pedals. But he was still in the peloton at the end of the day. So, yeah, he had the last laugh. Right, anyway, that's a huge bodge. What are you saying?
Yeah, I'm in bodge, I think. You've
Yeah.
convinced me.
16. Yeah, I'm glad I've convinced you, not the picture. 16% of you lot said that was a hack. So that's a pretty, we're all in agreement here. Sort your shoes out. I want to see them next week properly done. Maybe with laces that match your socks there. That would look pretty cool. Stick some white laces in them.
Yeah, matching
Nice.
laces. It's a bit trickier than you think though to make holes in leather and do the old.
Is it?
Yeah, I vaguely remember trying it once. So there's an art to it, and then you need to get the proper little metal thing, otherwise it starts ripping the fabric.
Well, yeah.
One of my handy mechanics actually fixed my lace-up cycling shoes with those rivets properly. Took it to a shoemaker's in the middle of a race and properly did it. Yeah.
There we go. I'd give that a hack. Right. Next up, Ride Out has made a shoe dryer, an easy solution, they say, for drying wet shoes. Stick them in the spokes and crank up the indoor trainer fan. Voting bodge, they say, ensures smelly cycling shoes all summer. I suspect it probably would dry your shoes, wouldn't it? But not the most eco-friendly of
Well, the problem
shoe
for
drying
me,
techniques.
my better half wouldn't let me do this because instead of my shoes smelling in one part of the house, it would just create a current of smelly air that would pass around the house. So that would strictly be left in the shed.
Yeah. You know, the issue with not reading newspapers anymore, because you can just read them on your phone, is not having an abundance of old newspaper to stuff into shoes.
Yeah.
I mean, how good an effective technique is that?
I know, I can't think of a better way to dry shoes off.
I bought some boot bananas, which are good.
Would they smell smelly though?
No, they're not literally bananas.
Oh.
It's like a. I stick bananas in my shoes. Works a treat. No, it's like a fabric, a piece of yellow fabric that's shaped like a banana, and it's stuffed full of like, I don't know.
Stuff that absorbs moisture.
Yeah, I want to say Silka, but that's a brand, isn't it? What is it? Silica. Silica. Sorry. Anyway, or like rice or something, and it just sucks all the moisture out of your shoes and into the boot banana, and then you hang it up, and then it dries, and then you stick it back in. So it's like a reusable thing.
You wouldn't want to mistake that for a real banana, would you?
Well, I mean,
yeah, eat it.
I mean, it really doesn't actually look like a banana. I'll send you a picture.
Okay.
Anyway,
imagine a banana.
Yeah, I'm gonna say Bodge for that one.
I'm on the fence, so I'm going to say hack. It's a nifty little solution. You know, by the time it would get the process started.
Okay. Well, to be fair, you're in the majority. 55% of people say that's a hack as well.
Okay.
I'm not convinced, mate. I'm not convinced. Right then, last up, Connor, who we got?
This is from Haggis Chambers. Pound shop gloves. Tired of getting hacked? You cannot beat them. Join them. That's one Scottish. Don't know if it
Yeah,
worked.
we all knew.
Here's my £1 glove hack. Gardening gloves from the Pound shop.
Well, I mean, I like the pattern. That's nice, isn't it?
It's a nice pattern, yeah, for sure. I mean,
That would really chafe your hands, wouldn't it? Do you not get sore hands?
That's
from,
what-
like holding onto handlebars in baggy, abrasive gardening gloves?
I think that would be sore.
Yeah.
I'm not too familiar with gardening gloves. I go
You can get nice leather palms.
I go natural when I'm gardening.
Do you?
Just the hands.
You don't do much gardening, do you?
I do. I've got coriander, I've got basil, I've got Thai basil. I've got
Herb. That's like a herb. I can't imagine you wrestling with brambles.
2 different types of spinach.
Oh, nice. Oh, okay. Oh, yeah.
But
Anyway.
I'm not sure I'd like to wear gardening gloves cycling. I think they'd chafe a lot.
Yeah.
Plus they chafe, because I use my cycling gloves a lot for wiping my nose.
Yeah, that's not very
And then you
absorbent.
get really
Oh my
shake
goodness
your
me,
face.
yeah. No, I'm sorry, Haggis. That's a bodge again.
I guess if they serve the purpose of if you crash and they do protect your hands, if they're strong enough to do that, maybe it's a bodge, a hack. But I think I've just got to go bodge.
Yeah.
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 Sorry, Haggis.
That
Good
is-
try.
That is a clean sweep of bodges from me this week. I think that's unprecedented, actually. An unprecedentedly pants week all round. I mean, you did go one hack, but still.
Yeah, I shouldn't be trusted though.
Yeah, anyway, if you think you've got what it takes to have a hack or indeed a bodge, then remember, you can upload them to the GCN app. There's loads up there. Get voting, and we'll pick out 4 more for next week.
And now it's time for cycling shorts.
Cycling shorts now, and we're going to start with some new tech, which I actually saw at the start of the Tour de France, but it hadn't been officially released. However, it has now, the new Factor 02, which is the brand's lightweight climbing bike. Serendipitously, it was launched the day after Michael Woods used one on his epic stage win at the Tour de France.
That is indeed serendipitous. Here's our new bike. It's really good at climbing. I think that's what they would have said.
I think it's exactly
Did you
what
reckon
they
they
said.
chose to announce it after he won the stage? Or do you reckon it was just always planned like that?
I have a feeling it was always planned
There you
for
go.
July the 10th.
Fate.
But there you go, yeah. Anyway, on paper, it definitely sounds like a good lightweight climbing bike. The frame with integrated seat mast is apparently just 730 grams for a medium. Out the box, they say, built with Dura-Ace, it's just 6.4 kilos, part of which is the new black ink wheels, which we also saw out there. Apparently they weigh just 1,146 grams. That's pretty light, isn't it?
My porridge probably weighs as much as that frame set.
I suspect
In the morning.
That's right.
Seriously good looking bike too, with that incredible slender top tube for compliance, if you're wondering, and seat stays, which sits right on the UCI limit of 1 centimetre in diameter. Of course, they've said it's more aero than the previous version too.
Yeah, I'm sure it is as well. 5 years ago, interesting fact, or not, I got a super tricked out Factor 02 to race at the Taiwan KOM Challenge, along with Matt Stevens, and that weighed 6.2 kilos with rim brakes, which is exactly the same weight as the lightest one that Factor are selling of this new one with disc brakes.
Careful, Si, throwing a grenade into the comments.
Just saying.
Now, speaking of Michael Woods, he becomes only the 3rd Canadian stage winner at the race.
I can't believe that. I would have thought Canada would have had an awful lot more stage winners than that, but there you go. Question is, are his glasses the biggest shades ever to win a stage of the Tour de France.
They are monsters, aren't they?
They are absolute monsters, yeah.
You could get little kind of windscreen wipers on them.
Well, yeah, absolutely.
Any ideas what they are?
Well, no, I didn't. Ollie reckons they're Ekoi,
Okay.
which makes sense because they're the team sponsored by Ekoi for helmets. So there you go. More Mike Woods fact. He's also apparently the oldest winner of a summit finish since Raymond Poulidor, who is Mathieu van der Poel's grandfather. And according to Kaylee Fretz from the Escape Collective, he's the only person to have finished a Tour de France and run a sub 4 minute mile.
Fair play.
Yeah.
Fair play. Although not in the same season, it must be said.
I wonder what he could do in a mile now on foot.
It'd probably be pretty fast, I'd say.
I bet it's fast. He does running for recovery after bicycle races. We've got him on a GCN Plus documentary. And after Amstel Gold, he went for a jog.
I get a stitch when I go running. It's hard work.
It is hard work, isn't it?
Cycling's much easier. Anyway, it's early in the season for the transfer rumour mill to start hotting up, but one of the first out of the blocks is sprinter Fabio Jakobsen, saying that he'll be leaving Soudal Quickstep.
Yeah, now it may or may not have anything to do with the fact that Soudal Quickstep are currently bottom of the list of prize money winners at the Tour de France.
Well, I think we can say that it definitely doesn't, and it's all to do with the fact that Remco Evenepoel will be taking aim at the Tour de France next year.
That's right, no room for Jakobsen in that team, will it? Now, moving away from the world of racing, if you live in New York, beware, you can't leave your bike locked up for a period of 7 days or more in the same place, because tags will now be put on bikes that appear left. And if they're still tagged after 7 days by the NYC authorities, they'll be taken by NYPD and stored for 30 days before potentially being resold.
This is an effort to free up space on public racks. It's quite a strict move, and any New Yorkers out there, let us know what you think. But whatever you do, don't lock your bike to trees.
What?
Well, this poor person found that out the hard way, further north in Montreal.
Crikey, yeah. If there is one thing we hate, it's people nicking bikes. But to top that, it's cutting down trees and nicking bikes at the same time. Drastic measures goes to put someone's bike there, but be careful out there, folks.
Be careful out there. Staying on the topic of bike parking, check out this plan for a new skyscraper in Birmingham. Plans have been approved in the British city for a 48-storey residential building, which will have 48 floors and 464 flats.
Thanks for clarifying that. 48-storey building.
Oh, you never know. I don't know.
48 floors.
That's true. But there's no space for car parking whatsoever. Instead, there'll be 464 bike spaces. So one for every apartment in the block.
Thanks for clarifying that as well.
Yeah.
Not enough bike spaces, really, is
Not
there?
for
Really?
us.
One per apartment.
Yeah.
That's useless. Even in a one-bedroom apartment, you're going to need at least 6 or 7, I would think.
It's a bit high, Si. I mean, you've got your one space for your city bike, and then I think
All the posh bikes stay in your flat, you reckon?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Or you hide them down the number.
Yeah, right. Well, maybe you could rent a parking space for someone else. Anyway.
Stacey doesn't know how many bikes from the shed.
Nice.
Back to the tour, anyway.
Back to the tour, yeah. We love catching all the different pieces of road art that along the way and the way people support the race. Shimano actually had a street artist there this year, Guilty76, who was over at the race painting this 100-metre long artwork on the road, 4K from the top of the Tourmalet summit.
Yeah, this was to celebrate 50 years of Dura Race, a group set which has won 412 stages and 11 victories at the Tour. Did you know, Si, there's actually a group that goes ahead of the race before the peloton and TV cameras get there, removes offensive images from the road before everything kicks off. So that is the reason there's so many butterflies and bicycles on the road at the Tour.
I did actually see it. There's a video clip somewhere where you actually see someone transforming an offensive piece of road art into something completely different.
There you go.
And it's like, imagine if that's your job.
I know, imagine putting that on your form when you land in a country. Job title.
Yeah.
Removes.
Just going back to the previous point, can you believe Shimano Dura Race has only won the Tour 11 times? I guess they've discounted Lance Armstrong's 7 from that. But, you know, the fact they hadn't won an overall until Lance, crazy, isn't it? Now you think of like Dura Race as being all-conquering, but
Whole lot of stages.
a whole lot of stages.
412 stages, mental.
That is a lot, isn't it?
That's a lot.
That is a lot. Right, next up, it's speaking of big numbers, how is this for a challenge? Max Schnell is currently midway through an attempt to ride all of the 201 paved mountain passes in the Pyrenees and the Alps that are over 2,000 metres high in one go.
In one go. To do it requires 10,000 kilometres, 271,000 metres of elevation. I can't even get my head around that.
No.
You can keep up with this challenge on www.2000/challenge.
Yeah. When I say all in one go, like he's obviously going to be sleeping and stuff.
I was about to say, like, is he going to sleep?
Yeah,
He's
2 to
gonna
3
sleep.
months it'll take him. So he's going to have the odd kit.
So he's on the bounce. No holidays in the middle.
No. Anyway, that's absolutely brilliant challenge.
Good luck.
Speaking of challenges, I've actually got one of my own this summer that I'm gearing up for. So I'm doing the Bicyclette Inferno race, which is from Annecy down to Menton on the Mediterranean coast. 470 kilometres over 2 stages, 11,500 metres of climbing. Compared to what's this chop Schnell, sounds a bit more modest. But anyway, 2 days, I cannot wait. The event organisers are offering you lot out there a discount if you want to sign up as well. So we've got a discount code. We'll have to put it in the description because I'm not sure I can remember it. Hang on a minute. It'll come to me. Inferno23 GCN. There you go. And that gets you 5% off your race entry fee if you fancy as well. So yeah, Annecy to Menton, 2 days, 2 stages. You can do it with a partner as well. So you do it as a pair. But no one to do it with me.
I've ridden back from Annecy to Menton, but it took me 4 days.
Did it?
Not 2 days. It was still really hard. So good luck, mate.
You carried your own stuff there, right?
I did carry my own stuff, yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure someone's going to be taking my stuff for me this time. So yeah, I can't wait. Now, lastly, a quick shout out to Question of the Week, which is over on the GCN app. There's always an absolute cracking question for you to get stuck into and read through all the other comments as well. What do you tell yourself when you're hurting on the bike was last week. What do you tell yourself when you're hurting on the bike?
I'm not sure. What do I tell myself? I tell myself to kind of pull my act together. Yeah, get on with it. It depends. It's either positive or negative. You have to stay positive, I think. And if you stay positive and say good things, then you can do it. You know, like all that visualization of managing to get through it and saying it won't last forever and all that sort of stuff. But when you get negative, it's like, that's rated, I'm suffering, I'm calling it.
Yeah, I don't think I talk that much. Like,
it's probably a good thing.
Yeah, I think it's got to be pretty grim for me to start questioning things.
Mama, ooh, I see a little silhouette of a Scaramouche, will you do the fandango?
The really tough moments you try and like think of desert islands or like, I used to do the apples, oranges, lemons and repeating the mantras.
Yeah.
That was a good one, you just do that and it distracts you.
Yeah, I'll do, if like dirty intervals, then I'll be like, just 10 more seconds, just 10 more seconds, just 10 more seconds. I'll break it down.
It's been a while since I did that.
Okay, anyway, it's a good question, isn't it? Get stuck in over on the GCN app. We'll put a link in the description, a little shortcut for you.
Caption Competition now, where you guys submit your comments to a photo which we provide with a chance of winning the ultimate prize in cycling. GCN Elite water bottle.
Well, it's
yellow.
extra special,
yeah.
isn't it? Yellow for only a couple of weeks. They are available to buy in minute quantities over on the GCN shop, actually. Along with our new t-shirts. You check these out. It's pretty cool. Yeah, I'm well into this.
Looking dazzling on the high street. I was wearing one of our yellow ones the other day.
That is dazzling.
A few French kids who must have been here on a school trip saw me, and I think they all started laughing because I'm pretty sure they said it's the leader of the yellow shirts, the leader of Tour de France.
Right.
But wear them with pride.
Absolutely. Right, anyway, first up, before we give you this week's photo, if you use Caption, how about some results from last week where we gave you this pint-sized fan in full Jumbo-Visma dress. The winner was... Now, I don't know whether this is a slightly dodgy username or whether it's my dodgy mind, but Doggy Lover 1958.
It's just like dog style.
Well, anyway, I've said it now. Despite evidence to the contrary, Jumbo say there is no truth to the rumours about downsizing the team. So there we go. I like that very much.
There you go. GCN Elite water bottle is on its way to you. Get in touch in the comments.
You have to let us know. No, don't on the comments. Get in touch with us directly and tell us your address.
What's your favourite dog? This week,
that.
moving on to this photo of Valentin Madouas at, well, I'm not, describe what's going on here, Si.
Well, I really don't know. I mean, you almost don't need to caption that. It's just a beautiful photo, isn't it?
Sweet. Who's having a crack at this caption then? I'll give it a go.
Go on
We can edit out if it's a bit too dodgy.
then. Go on.
I don't know what to say now. Wait, let me think about it. It's just... Can I do it? I feel like I need to do it in a French accent.
I think you do.
I do, yeah.
I mean, your attempt at French accent
No, wait, let me get my French mode.
probably the same as your Scottish one.
I don't know what's going to come out of my mouth now, but anyway, let's give it a go. Valentin, put away your melons!
Put away your melons.
Yeah, he's like covering them up, isn't he, with his melons? You can definitely do better than me, so yeah, and give it a bit more thought. Let us know in the comment section down below. You can write it in a French accent or not.
Yeah, no, that would be appreciated. Just
Yeah.
make it easy to read out next week.
Sorry to any French sorry to any French audience I may have offended.
I think you've offended more than just the French.
Comments of the week now. Moving on from French melons. This was from Bimbling Along on last week's show. In the endurance video with Mark Beaumont, Si said he was tempted to do an ultra again, and in this show he said that he loves the Transcontinental. Do I sense a presenter challenge coming on? Come on, GCN, the ultimate bike packing trip.
I would love to do the Transcontinental in theory, but the reality is, like, that's a big undertaking. You can't blag that. I sort of blagged like the mini one, the 640k race I did, but the thought of doing Transcon, no, I couldn't do it.
I mean, if someone asked me, I'd say yes, and then I'd give it a go.
How are you going to swing 2 weeks away from home?
Yeah, that's true.
I'm just going to disappear off. I'm going to ride across Europe. See you later.
It's a tough one. I have a friend that did it, and he was famous in our group for being able to like sleep in hedges and spend 2 nights without sleep, and even he cracked in it.
Did he?
So that's a sign.
Did he finish?
No.
Really?
He didn't finish it the first time, I think he finished it the second time.
Yeah, it is one of the biggest challenges to cycling. So no, not going to be doing that one. Right, Colin Littlewood, asking the teams to reach carbon neutral sounds nice. This is referring to the new UCI rule that's going to come in time for 2030. Teams are going to have to be carbon neutral. Said it sounds nice, but teams don't put together the race calendar or design the routes for a stage race. I'm sure they'd prefer not to have massive transfers between stages from a logistics and rider recovery perspective. That is very true. I mean, that's why it's a really complex thing to introduce, isn't it?
I think,
you know, how are you going to do the Arctic race of Norway without impinging on your carbon footprint, you know? But still, these are the challenges that are going to be facing people. Maybe racing will look different.
I think from the sounds of it, the Tour de France route directors are going to start taking that into account as well and reduce those transfers too. But yeah, I mean, it's sacrificing we're all going to try and make.
Absolutely, yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. Pro cycling will look. Well, I mean, we weren't beating around the bush when we said it's going to change the face of cycling potentially. But I don't think it needs to be a bad thing for fans, really. Like,
No,
you know,
it's something we need to do.
yeah, exactly. Right then, what else? What do Tour de France riders have on their bike computers? Sut515 says Adam Yates is a bro for letting us see his Wahoo. There he is. And also for being welcoming. He was very welcoming. Suggests that he might become a GCN presenter when he retires. If he does, our videos will get a lot shorter because that man talks quickly, doesn't he? You noticed?
He'd also make us look very, very slow, Si.
Yeah.
Yeah, slower than we are.
Also, I noticed in the comments of that video, someone said normally they think I need a good meal, but when stood next to Adam Yates, I look like I've stolen his, which is a very good point because yes, that like he really is lean.
Yeah. Did you steal his meal?
Yeah, I did. Yeah,
Bit of rice and chicken.
yeah, nice. 5,000 grams of carbohydrate.
Burton Homan got in touch. He said, I'd be curious if a domestique would ever have stats from other members of their team on their head unit. Would that be too much to try and process? I think that would be hard.
You'd be an ultimate domestique if you were looking at your team leader's power output, wouldn't it, and making sure they stayed under their certain.
I mean, I've never heard of it. I've heard of DSs and managers having the power in the car.
Not during races, though, are they?
Yeah.
I thought that's illegal.
Is that illegal?
Definitely didn't happen on Israel Soccer Academy in 2019.
No, I didn't. I thought I heard of that happening. No, maybe I'm thinking in training. Is it illegal to have a head unit back in the team car?
I don't know. To be honest with you, I thought it was,
don't know as well either. So
it could be UCI rule 1.3.021, or that could relate to the size of your water bottle. I don't know.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, that's a good point. But no, I don't think they do. We put Blake into a road race, or you did, more specifically. Insanely Great 42 said, what's clearly missing here is DS Manon cracking the whip to get organised and aero expert Ollie getting Blake aero. So yeah, maybe that was the difference. You just weren't good enough as a coach and mentor to poor old Blake.
Yeah, poor Blake. I think he's got the potential though.
Really?
Bit more kind of time on the bike and
bit more zone 2.
Yeah, and I think we've got him there. But this was all sent by Bigotry 7063. Any collab from each channel just gold. New GCN series road to Cat 1 for Blake.
What bloody hell, that's a commitment from the poor lad, isn't it? And then someone else, Rod's channel, said, this was such a fun video to watch. Maybe time for GMBN to return the favour and guides from GCN Presents through a mountain race. Well, it's funny you say that, but Hank has just got back from France when he attempted the Mega Avalanche, which is an iconic downhill, mass start downhill mountain bike race. And that'll be heading onto GMBN soon. So yeah, make sure you stay tuned. We haven't been able to break him yet, so GMBN basically.
Yeah, but let's not say anything more. We'll reveal too much.
No.
Stay tuned for that one.
Yeah.
Right, well, what's coming up this week, Si, on GCN?
That is a very good point. On Wednesday, cycling advice that sucks. So, yeah, there is a lot of bad advice in cycling, isn't there? There's a lot
and
of
it gets
bad
passed
advice.
off all too often.
Yeah, Thursday, descending mistakes to avoid. Friday, Hank rode up Alpe d'Huez to see whether or not he would make the time cut in the Tour de France.
Oh, there you go.
What do you reckon? Do you reckon he made it?
I don't think you would make it.
Bear in mind, like when you see sprinters hauling themselves up Alps and they look like they're going so slowly, but actually
it's hard. It's hard work, and especially when you get to the last climb on a Queen stage, it kind of tends to be every man for himself, every rider for themselves. So whilst it looks slower compared to the climbers, they're actually going pretty fast.
Yeah, they are. On Saturday, this guy hates gravel. Can we change his mind? And then on Sunday, we have got Blake back on the channel, haven't we? He's trying to destroy a pair of carbon road wheels. So, yeah, stay tuned for that one.
I'm interested to see the results of this one as well.
I am as well, yeah. Stronger than they look, aren't they? But then Blake is also far gnarlier than we are. So.
Yeah. Will be interesting, to say the least.
Yeah, as we mentioned, of course, the Tour de France is on GCN Plus every day this week, so make sure you watch that. And also on GCN Plus, we're going to leave you with a clip from this week's, I don't even know how to describe it. I was about to say documentary. It's not remotely a documentary. It's more like kind of reality TV / game show where two teams were tasked with building a bike from total scrap and then judged. Check it out. Two teams are gearing up to build bikes out of scrap. But our teams will not have time to tinker. Oh no, we are giving them just 3 days to complete this challenge. You cannot underestimate just how hard this is. We've got 2 master frame builders, paired with 2 pro cyclists. 1 expert, this guy, and the challenge to build a tandem fit for a picnic out of this pile of junk. What could possibly go wrong?
You're gonna have to lead this one, man. You're gonna be like sky high.
It may well not be straight.
Because at the end of those 3 days, the bikes don't just have to look the part, but be fully functioning too, because they will be put through a head-to-head battle to find out who has built the ultimate junk bike.
Whoa, look at those flames. With chops and cheese. Hello, man. So this